there, this is Miss Hubbard again. Here we go. We're going to talk about Chapter 1 again and talk about something new. So here we go. So we're going to talk about Section 1.2 and talk about why chemistry will play a key role in making new materials. So what impact do chemists have on all these different areas? So we're going to look at that in this section. So the key idea in this section is that chemists design materials to fit specific needs that we have. So chemists are always looking for the answers to questions and trying to figure out how to solve problems. So for example, this guy went out and was hiking, and he looked at all the burrs that were on his socks, all those little things that get on your socks, you have to pull them off. And he goes, "Oh, this is pretty cool the way it looks, because it sticks really well to my socks." And he looked at them really closely, and he saw that they had little hooks and loops, and that's why the hooks were able to go over the loops, and they stuck really well. So he used what he had found in real life, and he made something that was marketable, and it's helped us from now on, all that Velcro stuff that we use. So this story tells there's two ways to look at the world. There's the big picture, that's macroscopic, and then there's a small view, that's the microscopic. So burrs are big, you can see them with your eyeball. Those little things that stick on your socks. And then the hooks that he looked at were really small, and you have to look at those under a microscope. So that's microscopic world. So there's a big world and there's a small world. And the things we look at in chemistry can be both. And we're able to look at all kinds of ways of working with energy. Chemists look at energy a lot. So all the chemicals you use in your house, like if you put gasoline in your car to drive to school, that's using energy, and chemists were involved in figuring that out. So we conserve energy, we learn ways to conserve energy, produce energy, and store energy. So that's all, chemists work on that. And so one way we look at it is how to not spend so much on energy, like your parents are probably yelling at you to turn off the heater and stuff like that, close the doors, close the windows. So chemists look at ways of conserving energy, so they've looked at all kinds of chemicals that would be an insulation for our houses, so that our houses stay in the right temperature zone, we don't use too much energy. And here's a cool gel that chemists have used. So this gel is super light, but it's super light, and it's able to be held up by the soap bubbles. So it's super light insulation. So it doesn't weigh a lot, but it insulates a lot against heat and temperature changes. So people are looking at different forms of energy, and we're running out of fossil fuels out of the ground, so we're looking at other ways, like how can plants help us make fuels as well. So that's called biodiesel. And chemists are looking at storage. So I have an electric car, so I really care about the batteries that are in my car, because they help me get to all around the place. And I have to charge my car. So I have tons of batteries in my car. And so battery storage and how far I can go with my batteries is important to me. And so chemists have made that possible. So we have new batteries that we can recharge, so we have less waste in the world, so that's good. And chemists have done all that. And like I said, chemistry is totally in the medical field. And chemistry is working hard on finding a vaccine for COVID and treatments for COVID. So we have over 2,000 prescription drugs, and all of those were formulated by chemists. They figured out how to do them and what they were good for, and if they were safe or not. Chemists look at supply materials, so artificial hips and knees that maybe you've heard someone get, maybe your grandparents or something have gotten. Those metals and plastics have all been engineered by chemists. We've luckily found the the gene sequence for humans, and we use that same technology to figure out the gene sequence of COVID. So chemists are involved in all that. And then we use biotech to make chemicals and medicines in these reactors, and they're going to be using that for all of the chemical research, medical research they're doing for the COVID. And chemistry and ag too. I used to work for Dow Chemical, that makes lots of agricultural chemicals that help crops grow better and reduce weeds and things like that in the fields. And we also look, so it helps us be more productive with the acres of land that we have. Chemists also test soil, so I did that a lot for a long time to look for pollution in soil. That was my job for about 10 years. And chemists also help determine when a crop needs water, so they're doing innovative things with that. They're taking genes from jellyfish, putting them in a potato plant, and when the plant glows, it needs to be watered. So we're using these glow technologies and a lot of different things to help us figure out what's going on. And we look for chemicals to fight pests. So this little plastic tube at the bottom there, you see it right here? This little plastic tube has a chemical in it that attracts pests, and then we can, this is like a little birth control thing on the tomato, so it keeps pinworms from being able to mate with other pinworms and have bad processes for killing these tomatoes off. So there's a little birth control that chemists have made. And we look at the environment. So I said I did this for about 10 years, so I looked at all different kinds of bad chemicals that get into water, air, and soil, and that could be hurtful for plants and animals and humans. So that's an important job for chemists. So this is the key. In this one, I did this a lot. So lead used to be in paints and gasoline, and we figured out that it's really harmful for especially young children, their brain development. And so we had to find new ways of new chemicals that we could use instead of lead in our paint and gasoline. So we want to make sure that we don't hurt people by the chemicals we use. So we have to get rid of some chemicals, and chemists can work on that, like get rid of a bad chemical and put a better chemical in a product. So we want to prevent pollution. So chemists do that a lot, and that was a really good job. I really enjoyed that job because I knew I was using chemistry in a good purpose. So as you can see, the graph is going down. The trend of this graph is going from a lot of kids who had lead in their blood to really, really low levels. And so that's what we want to see. We don't want kids to have lead in their blood because it can ruin their brain development. And then we study the universe. I was saying this on the last lecture that we use this a lot. We use chemistry a lot to figure out how the universe was made and what the universe is made out of. So on the moon, we took 850 pounds of rocks, then we've taken them back to the Earth to analyze. And also on Mars, we're taking lots of soil samples and rock samples to figure out how Mars was made and the geology of it. Okay, here's our quiz. So get ready. Let's see how you do. Remember, this is helpful for your brain, so try to think of the right answer. And this will help cement the learning that we learned in this little section. And if you had trouble with it, then we need to review it. Okay, so choose the right word that goes in these spaces. To meet the demand for energy, chemists find ways to blank energy and blank energy. So think about that. And let's see what you think. Okay, let's check it out. So we want to conserve energy and produce energy. So chemists work on both of those things. Let's try the next one. Which is an example of biotech? So take a look at those and decide. Okay, what do you guys think? Let's see. Let's see what the right answer is. So using jellyfish genes to make that glow product like I was talking to you about is a way of using biology, chemistry, and technology together. That's called biotech. Okay, so here's the Velcro stuff. So to figure out how the burr would stick to clothing, the scientists had to take which view of a burr. Was it the big view or the small view? So he had to look really, really small to find out the hook and loop situation going on with the burr so that he could transfer that to the Velcro system. Okay, so I hope you did well on that little quiz, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.